Our Mobile 2 unit out on the roads this morning, checking in on congestion pricing. Does it look a little less congested out there? I don't know. You be the judge. Congestion pricing now in full effect, as we've been talking about since 4 o'clock this morning. The new plan sparking mixed reaction over affordability, but some are praising the potential to generate much needed funds for the MTA to really step forward and increase service out there. Joining us now to talk about those benefits is New York State Senator Brad Hoylman-Sigal. Brad, good to have you with us. How are you?
Good morning. Nice to see you.
So there's been a lot of start and stop over the last, what feels like 5 years. What's your reaction to this plan finally going into effect?
You're right. It's been decades in the making. I'm just gratified that New York stepped up and really stood on behalf of pedestrians, cyclists, and drivers in the area, including Manhattan, my district on the west side, but also the region. Let's face it, the congestion in Manhattan is the worst in the world, the entire world, and it costs the region $20 billion annually. And drivers, up until now, have spent an average of 100 hours annually stuck in gridlock. It can only improve the situation.
What are some of the major benefits that you're expecting to see here to really sell that? Because we're going to talk about this in a moment. A lot of the commuters and a lot of people, their first reaction is, oh my God, more, it's costing me more money to get into the city. But so what are some of the hard and fast improvements that we're going to see, and how quickly will people be able to actually see and feel the effects of these improvements?
Well, the MTA is committed to signal modernization. So subways, after this injection of money from congestion pricing, there's a lot of work to be done to extend the 2nd Avenue subway, to move our buses to fully electric, to make our platforms safer. One of my colleagues has proposed dedicating a portion of congestion pricing revenue to make certain that we have barriers like other world cities do. Those are all improvements I would advocate, in addition to making them accessible. Only half of our subway stations have elevators. Getting on the subway should be a human right, and with the funds from congestion pricing, I hope we can make that right a reality.
And quickly, because you bring up a great point about accessibility for people that are not able-bodied and able to move. It seems to me personally a bit more of an indictment on the MTA for years of not getting up to speed and having elevator accessibility. With that being said, what do you now tell people? Because all of the improvements that you have laid out sound fantastic, and I'm sure there's not a right-minded commuter out there that wouldn't be like, yeah, I could really use that, or I'd really love this. It still is costing people. It's costing the commuters money, and that's kind of where things kind of stop and start. So what do you tell people out there that come up to you, whether it's constituents or whomever you're selling this plan to kind of like, I know it's bad, but at the same time, there's good at the end of the tunnel. What do you tell those people?
Well, for starters, I say that you get what you pay for. And if we want a fully functional mass transit system, we have to commit revenue to its capital improvements. And that's, number one. Number two is we hope that with congestion pricing, that folks who drive into the city will seek alternatives to use mass transit more regularly and support the system. This is really a 90-10 or 80-20 problem. 90% of us take mass transit. And third, I would say that, there are long-term benefits to the health and well-being of the entire region by reducing carbon emissions, by making our streets safer, by getting cars off of our streets. Reducing gridlock makes it safer for us to cross the street. And, I hope we see the benefits. I'm very happy that we're seeing them this morning, and that's very exciting to learn that there are no traffic delays as reported by your team.
Yeah, so far so good, as they say. Day one, but so far so good. New York State Senator Brad Hoylman-Sigal. Brad, thank you for taking a few moments. We appreciate it.
And let me add one more thing, which is, we have This is a dynamic pricing scheme. It's not set in stone. The legislature is going to have more to say about it, where the money is spent, to make certain that it's being spent wisely, to make certain that it's in a lockbox and audited, and to also consider the fact that folks who live in the zone shouldn't be penalized. So we have a roadmap, but there are changes that we can make as we proceed with this very important, first in the nation plan.
And we've been talking about that with people before we spoke with you about 5 minutes ago. We were kind of laying out all of the discounts that do exist out there for people who aren't familiar. You can go to our website, and we know obviously the firefighters, they brought up something that I'm sure is a concern of yours that will be addressed. So the goal line move, the goalposts are moving, as they say in football parlance. But Brad, thank you once again. We appreciate it.
And thanks for all those resources.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you. Okay, and we'll have coverage throughout the day as we track this official rollout of congestion pricing. And for a closer look at the rules and exemptions, as I just mentioned, go to our website, cbsnewyork.com. I know it's a little confusing, but if you just go to our website, it is all right there.